I'm going to invite up Leanne Case. Now, before I do that, I hope you'll allow me to just say a little bit about yourself. So Leanne is a UCL alumni, and it's a real honour to be able to bring some of our alumni back to UCL to be able to talk about their experiences. She's a director at ASTIA, which is a global organisation committed to levelling the playing field in terms of investment. She's got an amazing international career, which I'm hoping we're going to hear about, over 2 decades. And she was appointed the chair of the Institute of Engineering and Technology's Sustainability and Climate Change Award for 2021. She graduated from us. She said to me, I actually can't remember when I graduated from UCL, but she graduated from us, I found out, in 2012 with an MSc in Urban Regeneration, and the same year she set up the Future Energy Forum. And, you know, hopefully what you'll get from her is just a huge inspiration of somebody who's been one of us, one of our students, and she's gone out into the world to really kind of drive change across the world. So if you join me in welcoming Leanne to speak to us.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here today. And as you can see, I've had quite a drastic haircut since that photo was taken. I can genuinely say that I was honoured to be invited today to join you, and I didn't expect to feel so emotional, but as I was also telling Richard, I missed my graduation. I was already living in Dubai at the time, so to come back after so many years for something so close to my heart, I couldn't be more pleased. And I think it's fair to say this invitation has been a gift in more ways than that, because I'm the kind of person who moves forward and doesn't think too much about what I did last week or last year. And in preparing for today, I really had to think about my time here at UCL. And that brought so strongly back to my memory sitting in Sir Peter Hall, lectures, who sadly is no longer with us. And what an honour it was to be a student of his. He was such an amazing man, and even though I work for an American company, I don't use this word lightly. He was a true inspiration and continues to be to me today in my search for professionalism and ongoing knowledge. So I've travelled a lot. In 2009, the year after I started my master's, I was appointed by Gordon Brown to set up Department of International Trade office in Baghdad. I remember sitting in a shipping container doing my economics assignment. But I was going to complete my master's come what may. And there hasn't been a country that I've been to in the world where the UCL name hasn't been known and respected. So over the past 20-something years, and exactly how many is going to remain my secret, I hope you haven't checked that. I've been really honoured and privileged to work at the highest levels of government, to advise major international corporations and work on 4 continents. But I've always believed, and I've always been driven by a desire to see much more diverse representation. I think if you look at me, you'll see a clue as to why at senior levels of government and institutions. And I've always believed that that would lead to a more sustainable and equitable society. But I'm sorry to tell you that currently my views are really challenged on that. So more than 20 years working in economic and social development, environmental impact, and I've seen a trend. So I'm not sure if this is what you wanted me to say, but I was honestly going to share my experience. I think that's important. I've witnessed a trend, and this trend makes me angry. It's a trend where sustainability and diversity are much talked about, but not much invested in. So after 20 years of social and economic development, I have had a change of career, and as Richard said, I now work for an investment firm called ASTIA. And as you also said, ASTIA is a global leader with a mission to level the playing field in investment. And what I've told you already might give you a clue as to why I've made a career change. I've been involved in innovation for a long time. It's always been a facet of what I've done. But I think it's fair to say we are currently facing new challenges, a global crisis, a pandemic, economic hardship, and climate challenge. Innovation is going to be critical in solving every one of those challenges. And so for me, it was important to take what I'd learned, including what I learned here, and to really be at the forefront of funding innovation. But I'm sorry to say, investment's no different. And it's another area where people talk about change, but it's slow to come. And I can tell you that less than 10% of investment, and by investment I mean venture capital, currently goes to teams that include one or more women or diverse founders on a senior level. So you were asking me, Michael, about this earlier, and that's what I mean by investment. And at ASTIA last year, we saw $3 billion worth of opportunities. That means over 1,100 companies who want to bring innovation to the market, but there's simply not enough money going to them. So, sustainability, what does it mean to me? I love the word sustainability. It sounds so serious and so important, but I don't believe in it anymore. And I had to think very carefully about coming and saying that to you today, but I don't believe in things that don't mean anything to me. And what I do believe is that we've been doing a lot of things wrong. And what I do believe is that as individuals, as institutions, as organizations, we have to make the change. And that's why in 2010, I remember that, when I was at UCL doing my master's, I think I came back from Dubai to do a course with Dr. Joanne Williams, although I believe she's professor now. She taught a course on sustainability, and I still remember vividly being in that class because I absolutely loved that class. And one of the things that stayed with me was the session she did on approaches to sustainability, including localism. And I thought, that's what I do. I try to shop locally. I try to make a difference with what I have. But I also realized that localism at that stage was a fringe approach because all we talked about was globalization. That was the prize. And if you dared to talk about localism, you're a bit of a loony environmentalist. So I want to ask you today, how many of you seek to shop locally? Wow, isn't that an amazing change? So 12 years later, and things have really changed. So I think that it's fair to say that there is no perfect solution, and all we can do is make a change for ourselves. So the same year, 2010, sitting in Iraq, I went to meet a senior executive of a very well-known international bank, and I talked to him about local impact, about how they were doing business in Iraq. And he laughed at me, and he said, "You're a tree-hugging vegetarian." And I said I was a vegetarian, but sadly I'm not anymore. But today, we see banks talking about local positive impact all the time. And this week I saw an article about the Halifax making a very strong stand on diversity. So this is progress, right? Well, maybe, but not enough. So I think I would say again that to talk about sustainability and impact is simply not enough. And the reason that I no longer believe in sustainability is because there's too much talk and not enough action. I believe that the best we can do is to keep asking questions and seeking knowledge. And I think UCL is a leader, as Richard quite rightly and interestingly put out. And Sir Peter Hall was an example in someone who sought knowledge all of their life, who shared knowledge, and was never shy about saying that he had changed his opinions over time and why. So for me, what sustainability means today is clearly not what it meant 12 years ago when localism was a fringe idea. And I hope it's not what it's going to mean in 12 years' time. Again, we need to hold organisations accountable, but that is why I've travelled all the way from Norfolk by train today to applaud you, the people who are taking action, no matter how large or small, and making a difference. Congratulations.